In this video, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why I do not do intermittent fasting. My name is Dr. Story. I've been a doctor of chiropractic for over 28 years. I'm going to give you realistic advice based on my experience and based on the scientific literature. And the scientific literature is all over the place when it comes to restricting food. Do you do intermittent fasting? Do you do a 16-8 intermittent fast? Do you fast for 20 hours and only eat for 4? What's the best one? Most of the research shows that if you just reduce the calories that you eat or the amount of crappy food that you eat, you're going to lose weight regardless of when you eat it. So why do I personally not do intermittent fasting? And first of all, let me get one thing out of the way. Down in the comments, every time I talk about this subject, you get a lot of angry people. People are doing intermittent fasting for spiritual growth, enlightenment, and cleansing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the 3 reasons that most people in my office are actually doing intermittent fasting and asking me about it. This is what I tell them. So number 1, many people are doing it for weight loss. They're trying to lose weight. This is the reason I don't do intermittent fasting. I don't want to lose weight. A lot of people have adipose tissue. They're bigger than they want to be, and they're looking for ways to try to lose weight. And one of the things to do would be to stop eating so much. And for a lot of people, it's just hard. So what they do is they say, well, I'm just going to stop eating breakfast. And I'm just going to eat 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner. And then if you can take lunch and bump it, instead of eating it at noon, you eat it at, let's say, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And then instead of eating dinner at 9 o'clock at night, you can eat dinner, let's say, at 6 o'clock. You can only eat food from like 1, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Well, when you have that limited time space, you can't eat as much food as if you were eating all day. People lose weight. So usually what I notice with patients is they'll cut out breakfast. They call that intermittent fasting. I just call it skipping breakfast. So you just skip breakfast, then you eat your normal meals. You start losing weight, but then it kind of plateaus. So you just stop eating lunch and you only eat 1 meal a day. I have some patients that tell me they only eat 1 meal every 2 to 3 days. So they're losing weight, but that doesn't sound healthy to me. And thus, that's the reason I don't do it. It's my humble opinion that if you could figure out foods that are more nutrient dense and make them taste fantastic, then you can have a healthier relationship with food and actually eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, maybe even have some snacks. That would be my solution, but the hell do I know? Second thing people say to me is they are going to do intermittent fasting to reduce inflammation. And this is where things really go haywire. Because if you understand the process of inflammation, which I'm going to explain right now, you'll understand that stop eating food does not equate to less inflammation. Inflammation is a reaction that our body does to environmental stressors. And let me give you an example. If you live in California, you have 4 seasons. We have sunshine, then we have wind, which leads to wildfires, which then leads to rain and mudslides. It's the season right now, which is we're in the wildfire season. There's lots of weird things being burned and smoke and environmental factors that we're breathing in that our body reacts to and creates inflammation. It holds on to water. For example, it tries to dilute the poisons that we're inhaling. It will try to use the immune system to try to clean up the poisons and toxins that are in our body. But it's not just from the air that we breathe, it's from the food that we eat. So foods that we eat create inflammation. So this is where you hear of foods being pro-inflammatory. Things like high fructose corn syrup or arachidonic acid. Certain foods have chemicals in them that will create inflammation. You cannot get rid of the inflammation. Inflammation is our body's reaction. Now, if you were to eat bad food, then your body would create inflammation. But by doing intermittent fasting alone, doesn't reduce inflammation, because if you're eating crappy food, but you're just skipping breakfast and lunch and only eating one time a day, it still creates inflammation. Your body is still going to be inflamed. Now, having said that, if you do intermittent fasting, you have less opportunities to put bad stuff in your mouth. But did you know stress also causes inflammation? Our body, when we're stressed out, our body produces cortisol, and that creates a chronic inflammatory condition. So just by reducing the food that you eat from noon to 5 o'clock doesn't necessarily reduce inflammation. And thus, that's the reason I don't do intermittent fasting, because the science has shown that it really does not reduce inflammation the way the internet experts say it does. The third and final reason why I do not do intermittent fasting is because many patients come in, and I live in a retirement area, and there's a lot of people that have had strokes. There's a lot of people that have dementia and Alzheimer's and lots of different neurological conditions. And they've read on the internet that intermittent fasting cures it all, and they're trying intermittent fasting. And all that's happening is they're becoming more malnourished than they already are, and they're becoming more dehydrated, and their electrolytes are off, and they're getting AFib now, and they're not having good long-term success. So there is no cure for Alzheimer's or dementia by restricting the food that you eat. Now, I know that there are people in the comment section that are saying, do your research. You're not very smart, all these things. I love you guys, by the way, because a view is a view, right? What I see in my practice is people becoming more and more now malnourished from intermittent fasting. The better solution would, again, to be able to come up with foods that are nutrient dense, that taste good. And this is a challenge for a lot of people, especially as we get older, because our taste buds start to decrease their sensitivity, and we just don't seem to have as much appetite for food as we once did. And so a lot of times with intermittent fasting, people become more malnourished because they're not consuming enough nutrients, because they're not consuming enough food, even if they're trying to eat healthy. And that's why for a lot of people, supplements are very, very important, because especially with certain electrolytes and minerals, if you're not eating a lot of vegetables and some fruit, you are not getting the right amount of nutrients. And one of these nutrients is magnesium. Magnesium plays a role in hundreds of different functions of our body. And when you're deficient in magnesium, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna have fatigue, you're gonna be lethargic, you're not gonna sleep well, your electrolytes are off, because magnesium not only is a mineral, but it functions as an electrolyte. This is what happens when you're totally dehydrated and you're getting dizzy and feeling faint and thinking that you have a stroke, and you end up in the hospital and they hook a bag up to you and they put it into your vein. What are they giving you? Usually saltwater solution, they call it, or electrolytes, and that's what gets your body, all of a sudden you start feeling better. And that's why I recommend for the average person to take something like a magnesium supplement. Magnesium supplements are one of the things, the easiest, best thing you could do for your overall health. Now, for me personally, this is the one I take. I'm going to show you. It's called Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. It's this company right here. The reason I originally got this myself was because I was experimenting with different magnesium supplements, and they worked for me. Pretty much all of them worked for me. But this particular one has 7 different types of magnesium in it. That's amazing. So all of a sudden, instead of handpicking which magnesium you want to take for which condition, you get one that has it all. The other thing is they had a 365-day money-back guarantee. So I figured, why not? So eventually, contacts happened. They became a sponsor. I love this company, and I would recommend that you at least try it once to see if it makes a difference for you. At least give it at least 1 to 2 months to try it out. But I can almost guarantee, because there are no guarantees, that if a person is deficient in magnesium and having trouble sleeping and they just don't feel well and they don't eat enough of the right foods, that if you give someone a magnesium supplement, they feel better relatively quickly within a couple months. So there will be a link down below in the description if you want to see and look at it, approach it, see if it's right for you. You can get a discount, but just click the link down in the description. And also, if you'd like to see what I eat during the normal course of the day, watch this video right here. There's a box here. Click that video and you can see what I eat on an average day.